ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello, welcome to Drian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.
So Grace, today is International Women's Day.
Yep, I'm very excited about it. Do you think this women's right have come so far?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, now women have the right to vote, to work, and be whoever she wants to be.
But when you think about it, the only struggle now is society expectation for women to get married and have babies still.
Well, personally, I feel that it's a beautiful feeling for women and men not to have a family and to get married. But it shouldn't be the ultimate goal for existence. I think the ultimate goal for anyone in this case should be about happiness.
Well, and also perhaps making the world a better place. On ASEAN Daily, we'll bring you daily updates and commentaries on issues and events that are impacting this region. I'm your host, Grace Cho.
And this is Arlene Tan. On this Tuesday, 8th of March 2016, we will bring you the latest social culture and trends from Southeast Asia.
Our top story today. Malaysia has the most firms without any women in their senior management roles within ASEAN, with a study showing that almost 1 in 3 was the women in such positions.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, Malaysia, we still have a long way to go to achieve equality in the workplace. In fact, according to a report by business consultancy Grant Thornton, the dearth of women in senior management positions was also worsening despite active calls from Putrajaya for increased gender diversity in the corporate arena.
Right. The number of businesses without women holding senior leadership positions in Malaysia has been on an increase ever since year 2012. And the survey results shows that Malaysia has the highest number of businesses that does not have women in their senior management in the ASEAN region. And this is according to Datuk N.K. Jasani, who is the Grant Thornton's country head.
Well, the survey also revealed that in Malaysia, 26% of people in the senior management consist of women. But please don't be happy about it, because even though it's an increase from 22% last year, but the number is still the lowest among ASEAN countries.
That's correct. But the rise in firms with women in senior leadership roles mirrored a similar change on a global level, with 1 in 3 firms now completely dominated by men in senior management roles.
The proportion of women in top management in Malaysia, which is at 26%, is actually on par with Singapore. But, for our neighbor countries, Thailand and Indonesia are faring better at 37% and 36% respectively.
Right. Well, despite the Prime Minister's calls to see women making up 30% of the boards of all public companies, and also initiatives such as the launch of the 30% Club in 2015, the results of the survey clearly shows that we are still lacking women in leadership.
Among the measures that the report suggested is efforts to retain women as well as to recruit those who have left the workforce, such as career comeback grants and tax waivers for returning women workers.
So Putrajaya could further encourage women in leadership roles through demonstrating best practice on diverse leadership and perhaps introducing policies to make available affordable childcare.
So, the government is doing something. You can see it in the 10th Malaysia plan, where targets were set for Malaysia to increase the number of women in key decision-making position, and also on company boards to 30%, and to boost female participation in the workforce to 55% by 2016.
But despite this push for more women in leadership roles within the private sector, however, the Putrajaya only has 3 women in its cabinet of 37 ministers, or approximately about 8%.
It's still not very convincing for us. Anyway, let's move on to the next news. Researchers have predicted that climate change will have such severe impact on food production that it could lead to the death of 4,450 people in Myanmar by 2050.
And in fact, that expected toll puts a country at the 10th worst spot out of 155 nations in terms of deaths per capita.
Wow, that's very scary. Worldwide climate change is predicted to lead to 500,000 deaths, according to a new study published by The Lancet, a well-known British medical journal.
So the climate model put together by researchers at Oxford found that climate change will adversely affect food production and eventually take a toll on public health as well, as food shortages lead to disease vulnerability.
Climate change could kill more than 500,000 adults in 2015 worldwide due to changes in diet and body weight from reduced crop productivity.
That's correct. And in fact, Southeast Asia is predicted to account for 47% of underweight-related deaths in adults by 2050. China, Vietnam, and India are expected to have the highest rates of deaths per capita in Asia, with China and India accounting for nearly 3/4 of all deaths.
So with the global food availability reduced, we will see an imbalance of consumption in fruits and vegetables as well as red meat.
So basically, changes in food availability and intake also affect the dietary and weight-related risk factors. For example, low fruit and vegetable intake, high red meat consumption, and high body weight. These all increase the incidence of non-communicable diseases such as heart disease, stroke, and cancer, as well as death from those diseases. So this is according to Marco Springman from the Oxford Martin Program on the future of food at the University of Oxford.
And the consequences of climate change are said to be felt already in Myanmar. So this is not the future, this is the present, mainly in the northern and central region. According to the website of the Myanmar Climate Change Alliance, the country's mean temperature and rainfall has been increased in most areas, though decreased in some.
So by 2050, the average temperature across Myanmar is expected to rise between 0.8 to 1.4 degrees Celsius. This is according to Myanmar's National Adaptation Program of Action, NAPA, to climate change of 2012. This increase could extend the growing season for some crops, but also could cause an increase of problems related to rain and irrigation.
With the largest standing forest on mainland Southeast Asia, Myanmar currently absorbs more greenhouse gases than it emits. So it's still a good thing, but you never know, in the future anything can happen.
Well, on other news, El Nino threatens the Philippines. So what's happening is the United Nations is keeping an alarm raised on El Nino caused drought that may result in food shortage as well as the spread of diseases in the worst affected areas in the southern Philippine island of Mindanao, especially among people who are displaced by natural calamities and armed conflict.
So based on this report by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, that while the ongoing El Nino has affected large areas of the Philippines, the most severe damage to agriculture is concentrated in Mindanao.
So if you talk about the percentage, right, about half of total the farm areas in Mindanao, that's about 87%, they have no chance of recovery when it comes to crop survival.
Wow. And the City Health Office was concerned that water shortages may raise the risk of diarrhea and other waterborne diseases among children and other vulnerable groups. 6 evacuees already reported died last December and in January.
Well, of course, that brings a lot of fears of this mounting impact of El Nino on food security and also health of all these evacuees. City authorities are resuming this food distribution to all transition sites for 11 months starting this month.
Thank you for tuning into Duran ASEAN. For more interviews by Duran ASEAN, please tune into our website at duranasian.com. If you are on the go, you can always download our TuneIn app on your mobile. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels at Duran ASEAN and Duran ASEAN TV. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter, and Instagram. We always welcome feedbacks from our listeners. Stay tuned with ASEAN Daily, Monday to Friday, the same time, 1 p.m. GMT plus 8. You are now listening to Duran ASEAN.
You're now listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing.